Africa Partnership for Sustainability Summit was held in March 2019 in Nairobi on the sidelines of the UN Environment General Assembly. On the Earth Talks show today, we bring you some of the highlights where I managed to have conversation with some opinion leaders, policy makers who are leading the climate and energy debate in Africa. Here are some of the key highlights. So Barbara, how did you get to be a lawyer?
I got to be a lawyer back in school. It was a desire of mine. My father is a lawyer.
Okay.
And it's in the family, so I thought I should be a lawyer as well.
Right.
And follow in his footsteps.
And is it easy for women to be lawyers in Uganda?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Lawyers, I mean, women are there's so many women lawyers in Uganda because education has been privatized.
Yeah.
There's so many universities, and so there's many women are getting empowered to study law.
And how did you get into this campaign on GMOs?
That's an interesting question. The first assignment I got when I finished school was to review a book on biotechnology and the law.
Yeah.
And when I was reviewing the book, I got to learn and appreciate the intricacies of food and the law. And I started to realize that there's this campaign for new improved food as an alternative of indigenous varieties that we've known for some time.
Yeah.
So I found it interesting and realized that it's actually more than food, because there's so many players involved and it becomes very complicated. Yeah. So my passion also is to ensure that farmers get access to adequate food, access to quality seed, and
is that a problem in Uganda at the moment? Are there a lot of are GMOs big in Uganda? Are they not allowed? What is the legal status?
Oh, the legal status. Okay, right now GMOs are not allowed in Uganda because we don't have a law that regulates GMOs. It's now just being formulated actually it's on the president's desk for assent.
Right.
Yes.
The GMO lobby would argue that we're actually providing food to people, we're making sure that farmers get income.
Yeah.
How do you counter, such propaganda, as to say?
Yeah, obviously there are those allegations. And I'm not against science because we are a product of science, But with regard to food, yes, there are a lot of assumptions, should I say, that with increased GMOs, it will feed the world.
Yes.
But also, when you look at also countries that have embraced GMOs, what are they saying? I mean, if you look at countries like Burkina Faso, or you look at countries like South Africa, it has not been a success story. I can't say that GMOs are the complete answer. They're not the silver bullet.
Yes.
I think it's like in Uganda, in our case, we need to deal with the structural problems in the agriculture sector that inhibit farmers from having enough, productivity. Talk about mechanization, irrigation, other things like that. So I feel like we're rushing so much to, push for this new, improved, but we're not also trying to deal with the structural issues that we face as Ugandans.
Are there other environmental issues that you would like to take up in court?
I'm not necessarily in court. I haven't been practicing as a campaign.
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, would like to ensure that we have access to good quality seed. And right now, that's also a big challenge because for farmers, we have now the regional frameworks at the East African level.
Yes.
And these frameworks now, we have, for example, an EAC seed bill. And the seed bill is very, it doesn't talk about farmers' rights. It protects the breeders, the breeding systems, as opposed to the farmer-managed systems. So for me, that's like something, a very passionate appeal to me personally. I would like to see that farmers are able to save seed, to sell seed, to exchange, to reuse, just like it has always been. I think that farmers' rights should be included at all levels, at the regional framework, at the national framework, at the local levels, and they should be encouraged also to to save seed, to have not silos, but to have community gene banks
and local seed varieties.
And local seed varieties that they can use and that they're used to. And because some of these new varieties have had issues with, compatibility, soil fertility, and some of them have not done very well. Some have done well.
Right.
And so, but at the end of the day, our original seeds are the best.
But how open is the Ugandan government? So it's very difficult to then, push them back to the way they used to be 50 years ago.
I know.
So do you face the same problem?
Yeah, we face the same problem because, the society is changing, things are changing, science is changing. I mean, science has come up with all these new solutions to our problems. And yes, the farmers, I feel, are very relegated. And they're being pushed away.
Yes.
And they're going to be forced to have to adapt to new seed varieties.
Yes. And which will make them more dependent on the market.
Which will make them more dependent on the market, and they'll not have their original rights, And also, in Uganda, small-scale farmers don't have that kind of money.
Right.
They're very, very poor. They're, they're not commercial. They're just small-scale subsistence farmers. So I think that would be very dangerous for farmers in the country.
So more power to the farmers and
more power to the farmers.
To you, Barbara, for the work that you do. Thank you so much. John, thank you for speaking to us.
Okay.
Tell us, how is East Africa transitioning to a green economy?
Well, thank you very much. Actually, it's good to know the East Africa, the countries in East Africa, they are now integrating the economy. So we are promoting regional trade and economic integration with the green and the clean development. So East Africa is working on different sectors. Maybe you can use from trade and transport, agriculture, health, energy, clean cooking. I think when you analyze the climate change, the issues, the impact, so East Africa, we needed to go deeply in clean cooking, number one.
Yes.
Green transport, number two. Then modernized agriculture, number three. Those are the sectors I could maybe explain a bit. Yes.
Right.
From clean cooking, when you see the East African countries, we are still using more. The countries are still using the firewoods, the chokers, and then it's good maybe to move to go to clean cooking, where the country could really move on renewable energy, clean cooking.
And how bad is the situation when it comes to the dependence on firewood? And how easy is it going to be to transit?
East African people are still using the traditional cooking approach. They use firewood and the choker. I would say maybe some figures show more than 70% of East Africans, they still use traditional cooking approach. So when you see the way the pollution is high, the climate change impact is coming. So moving to clean cooking, that will be from gas and clean cooking, use pellets. Those are the strategies you could go for. Yes.
And in terms of transport, what kind of transitions is East Africa looking
Where the pollution is still high from the transport. Many people in East Africa are still driving the cars. They are using the fuel and the gas. So the transition will go from the green transport. Let's give an example here in Kenya. You see they have a connection between Nairobi and Mombasa. So now they have a railway. So it's one of the innovation you could see in East Africa. So Rwanda, Tanzania, they are getting now connected by railway, which would reduce the pollution of driving by cars. Yes.
And green climate funds.
Yes.
That's been again a subject of much controversy. Would you say the developed world, in terms of has it offered enough to help the developing world transition to a green economy? Is there enough money on the table, as they say?
Well, when you analyze maybe last 3 years, I could quote the Paris Agreement 2015. The pledges were there, but the people, maybe the countries did not commit as they were lead pledge. So if you go exactly to the World Bank money, it's now they say 22.5 billion.
Yes.
Is committed for the the climate change and
that's what I was reading, that the World Bank has stepped up climate support by committing $22 billion US.
Yes.
So where would you say this money is going to go? What kind of sectors are being looked at?
I think when you analyze the situation, I would say the top priorities in East Africa, I would recommend the 4 key sectors. Okay. Number one, energy sector. We really need clean cooking, strategies, renewable energy. Number two, transport. We should remove from the traditional transport system to green transport, where we connect our region or countries by railways. Number 3, agriculture. We need to move from the traditional agriculture, we go to the modern agriculture where we irrigate our countries. You know, the health sector, more clean and green. Yes, those are the top 4 I would really, yes.
All right. And would you say there is enough scope for collaboration between India and East Africa in terms of transitioning to a green economy?
Well, basing on the data, I think India is of course coming in Africa, but they're still ready to do a lot to work with the East African countries. If you go to the Africa, well, India has been working with the African countries, but you could see if you say the World Bank, more American and European, they are still really, and China has already joined, and the India is coming. Maybe I could recommend some sector you could really focus on.
All right, some scope for India and East Africa to work together. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.